Welcome to Hops News, the trusted source in beer culture news. Here's your host, Jay Brew.
Hey, welcome back. Man, I hope I have better luck this week. I think the last time I was on here with the crew about this time into the episode, my wife snuck around the corner over this shoulder and walked into the kitchen and was jumping up and down and waving her hands and everything else that a wife would do to try to get your attention without interrupting you too much, to tell me that we had water on the floor in our bedroom. So not a good thing, but thankfully we've got that sorted out. Hopefully the internet holds up tonight and we can keep an episode together, because I'm looking forward to chatting with the folks that we have on tonight. Talking a little bit of beer news. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the beer world. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to spend much time to really put it together to chat about it, but I certainly know that Lauren does. She's got a laundry list of stuff going on, but we will chat about that a little bit, and obviously talk to our guests that we have on here. Another content creators happy hour. It's always fun. I'm not near as engaged as I have been previously with the folks that we have on today. But man, if I tell you my life has been turned upside down lately, that'd be an understatement. In all good ways. Of course, nothing drastic at this point, but the relocation, a lot of stuff going on at work. But it's fun. All good stuff, all good things. So I tell everybody that the alternative to busy is not good. So I'm blessed to be busy and keep going. So it's fun times in the beer industry. And man, I'm a huge college football fan, and like, not this weekend, but next weekend is the start of college football, and it snuck up on me. Like usually, yeah, like usually I'm talking shit about it on social media. Like I'm ragging on the friends and messaging my brother and talking shit about. Hasn't even happened yet, and so it's going to sneak up on us next week. Big game in Boone. I'll be up there for that. Certainly we'll be up there for that. We've got UNC coming up to Boone to play App State in Boone. I will be there. I will try to go live. Maybe I'll go live and chat about it a little bit, but I can't promise you because it's a noon kickoff, so I'll probably be 2 or 3 beers in before 6 a.m. in the parking lot, but we'll definitely consider it. So that'd be a good one. College football back on the schedule. Looking forward to that. Maybe we'll have to start to make that a part of our regular live streams. Let's talk a little college football, maybe some game day action or something. But certainly looking forward to that. And Matt is not going to join us tonight. He's out in Disneyland, living it up geek style out in Disneyland on a bucket list trip, I'm sure, for him and his family. So he won't be here with us tonight. But we do have Lauren down there in balmy Florida. I almost feel like we're on the same level now because it is fucking hot as balls here in Virginia Beach, 24/7. Lauren, how is it in balmy Orlando?
It's pretty hot, but I don't mind the heat. It's way better than that cold y'all get in the winter time. So I'll stick with I prefer to be sweating on the way to my car than freezing on the way to my car. So I'll take it. But yeah, Matt's in Disneyland. He's sending me. I mean, he has Avengers Campus. We don't have Avengers Campus, so he's hanging out with Ant-Man, having all sorts of fun, all the things we don't have in Florida. But I am drinking some Florida beer, which is always awesome. Is Tripping Animals. So if you're on the YouTube or the Facebook or anything, you can see my sweet can. It's a little Rescue Rangers can. So it's called Molly Hack Wrench. It's a double IPA with Sabro and Sultana hops from Tripping Animals in Doral, Florida, which is basically Miami. And, of course, I got it in my sweet glass. So, as always, Tripping Animals, they nail every IPA they do. They nail every sour they do. I've only had one stout from them. Was it from them or was it a visiting beer at the brewery? I don't know, but they're fantastic always. So, that's pretty much, not too much has been going on. School started here, so we spent all weekend with a sick one because it's back to school germs already. So, nothing else fun has happened. That's about it down here in balmy Florida.
Nice. Yeah, Tripping Animals always good. Back to school action. I will say, and just a disclaimer for everybody, our daughter went back to school as well, and she's on a virtual academy called Virtual Virginia, and our internet has not held up well, so if we get booted tonight, do not be surprised.
It's Jay's fault.
Yeah, and if anybody has any connections with Cox Communication or we want to start bagging on those guys as a mass, like I'm all for it because they're absolutely horrible for the price I pay for those guys every month. But yeah, Lauren, Matt out there and
I've never heard that.
Cox Communications, trust me, that's the best thing that could ever happen to you is never hear from those guys. They're horrible.
We did have our internet was struck by lightning this weekend, but we just had to go get a new box or whatever. So that was fun.
I wish lightning would strike Cox Communication after this week, but yeah. So Disneyland. So Matt has got some. Matt has some different attractions that you haven't been able to visit. It'll be cool to hear from him on that and what those attractions have been like.
Yeah, Disney World's still better though. I'll die on that hill.
Well, I mean, it's kind of that way, like, right? Is there many people that argue that Disneyland is better? Like, is there a group of people that will say Disneyland is better than Disney World?
Yes, because Walt walked through Disneyland because that was the first park. So, yeah, they lean on that. But, I mean, that was Walt's rough draft. And then he perfected it in Orlando. He just didn't get to see the final thing because he died before Magic Kingdom opened. But, I mean, they have 2 parks and a downtown Disney. We have 4 parks, 2 water parks, a downtown Disney now called Disney Springs. We have Boardwalk. We have a full golf course. We have 2 mini golf courses. We have Wide World ESPN sports area. Like, there's just so much land here. And I can go ahead and pimp our episode that we dropped Sunday night. Because Matt was going to Disneyland, we did a whole fun facts on Disney parks that we just dropped Sunday night. And we did some emphasis on Galaxy's Edge, which we both have Galaxy's Edge, but they have Avengers Campus, which we can't have because of the contract rights with Universal, which I could do a whole episode about that. But we do have the Guardians of the Galaxy ride because Universal does not have anything Guardians of the Galaxy at their parks. Disney's allowed to do it. But like as soon as there was some movie that came out, it might have been Black Panther, they threw up a picture of Black Panther at the superhero landing at Islands of Adventure, so Disney couldn't do anything with it. So, but we still have Epcot, and that's the best part because you can drink around the world.
That's all I want. I want to drink around the world.
Basically, yeah.
Awesome.
Come down. That'd be a fun event. Whoever wants to come, I'm here for it.
Most certainly. We've taunted the idea. We've seen you and Josh and your family at plenty of places.
There you go.
Let's
Now
go
it's time
check
for the most magical place on earth. But yeah, let's do that.
for sure. Let's go check in with. Let's try Abe. Abe looks like the video is frozen on Abe, but maybe we've got his audio. Abe, are you there?
Oh no!
Yeah, I think your audio or your video is frozen, but we definitely have your audio.
Oh, I think it's just me
It
smiling.
froze in a
not
nice
doing
way.
anything
It's a nice
embarrassing.
picture.
Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah.
hair looks good. My room looks well lit.
It's perfect.
I can't hate on it. Oh man. Well, that be pouring this beer beautifully pointless.
Yeah. We're not getting no beer pouring action on
Well, I
this
can
end.
still
That's
see
for
it.
sure. Can you?
No, definitely.
Lauren
I can. Yeah, he's still moving in the picture in the Wirecast. He's just frozen on the one that's being shown. So the damn you cocks.
Yeah. I can't. We
This
can't.
sucks.
Like literally, I can't see none of your video. I can see Lauren and Scott. Soon to be Scott to join us, but Abe, I certainly can't see yours. Abe, hey, it's even though. But I tell you, on my end, it couldn't have froze at a better picture. Like the smile, everything that I see on this end, like that's the Abe that everybody wants to see, anyways. Abe, how are things going? In
Your profile picture.
yeah, there you go. Abe, how are things going for you tonight, other than the internet video connection?
Everything else is going pretty well. I'm drinking a Tonewood Fuego. It is a modern IPA with Citra, Simcoe, and Mosaic hops. And I did some changes on my social media as well. So that's a reason to celebrate, to get everything integrated for me no longer being beer time, but being Abe in the kitchen.
Abe in the kitchen. I love it. If you're not following Abe on social medias, you definitely got to go check him out. Abe in the kitchen kind of nails exactly who he is. Abe, tell us a little bit about that Abe in the kitchen. You go from beer time, which most of you probably know you from at least here as the beer time guy.
So Abe in the Kitchen was a personal account that I created for Instagram that was putting out a lot of food content, a lot of pictures, also linking me with my business of being a private chef. So I didn't think to move it to any other social media because I was like, am I going to do cooking content? I'm not really sure yet, but somebody told me, you know what, just give it a go. I was putting out content before. You can see still with that picture right there. Frozen Food Time was a YouTube channel that I had started and was doing cooking content, hanging out with my friend John, and us doing a little back and forth commentary while making a recipe, which was a lot of fun for me to do. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give that one a rest because we're no longer doing any collaborating with each other. I'm going to strike it out on my own and try to do Abe in the Kitchen. And I thought, you know what would be great? Let's just go ahead and make all that one thing, move it to TikTok, and even go even further. And I'm going to be starting a Twitch account with Abe in the Kitchen as well to do live cooking videos, as well as some gaming stuff. I'm a little bit of a gamer and a little bit of a nerd, so I thought that'd be fun as well. But the whole point is to relate it to my business, Casa de Abrazo, private cooking, private chef, supper club, and also put out content on TikTok for cooking videos, but still keep on with the beer time content.
Nice. So private chef. Tell us a little bit more about that, Abe. Kind of pimp yourself. What's your area? What can people expect? How can people get a hold of it to chat about that?
So you can find me on Abe in the Kitchen on my Instagram, as well as Casa de Abrazo, which there's links in the bio there. And it is the idea of doing it in a home. So it's going to be in my home or somebody else's home. I'm willing to do other events, but that's something to be discussed further along. But the main focus is to make a home type cooking meal kind of situation, kind of experience, to feeling like you're part of somebody's family, while at the same time the dish is being very beautiful. And my cooking style is everywhere from the Caribbean to Southeast Asian, even German, just because of the places that I've worked and part of my ancestry as well.
Man, that's awesome. I've looked at both of those accounts briefly before we jumped on here this evening. I want you to cook me a meal sometime. Like even if I had to come up that way, like if you check out his social medias, the plates that he's presenting, unbelievable, Abe. Like that stuff looks amazing. I know you've chatted about it and you referenced your private dinners, but I really didn't get the scope of what you were doing until I checked out your social medias. Phenomenal. I can't wait to eat a meal that Abe prepares for sure.
I would absolutely be honored if you were able to go ahead and we were able to connect and I was able to cook you a meal. It would mean a lot to me.
We're going to do it sometime for sure. Even if I had to drive up that way. You're actually probably not that far. You know how far you are. How far are you from Virginia Beach?
Yeah. Virginia Beach, probably 8 hours.
Nice. We might have to make that happen.
Six or 8 hours, somewhere around there.
Nice. We might have to make that happen soon, Abe. Abe, thanks for joining us. Let's go check in with Scott. Scott down there in the New York Giants land. Scott, the beer narrator.
Backwards.
Scott, thanks for joining us, man. How are you doing
Thanks for having me. Good. How are you?
Yeah, man, I can't complain. It's almost football season. You were one of the reminders, right? Like when you came on and I seen the New York Giants, I'm like, holy shit. Like next Friday, I've got to leave the office a little early just so I can get halfway to where I'm going to go in North Carolina to make the game Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not as big on college football, but I still have some loyalty to the Giants. I don't live in New York anymore, so I'm up in Patriots country. So
up in the New England area. So Scott, tell us a little bit, Content Creators Happy Hour. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you fall in the content creators realm, and where people can find you. We'll get back to it again at the end of the show, but want everybody to be able to look and go check you guys out before we get started on the episode.
Sure, yeah. So I'm beer narrator on Instagram and TikTok. A name that I kind of need to work on to make sense again. I was at one point in time a part-time, voice actor. I did, some acting, some voice acting, and I kind of have always had a passion for beer. I worked in the industry years ago as a buyer for a liquor store in Boston. I've worked in liquor stores my whole life. I've just always liked beer. It's been like, for many of us, a hobby. Just always chasing craft beers, and I've been around for a while, so I've been seeing it for a few years, and like before social media existed. And I finally one day just clicked and said, why don't you just do one of these niche pages and share the beers and your thoughts about beers. And I didn't even really know that there was a whole community that did that. Like, when I first thought of it, I was like, well, that's going to be unique. And then immediately saw, well, that's not unique. But at the same time, everybody doing it also has their space, because everybody has their own viewpoint. Everybody has their own styles. Some people like this, some people like that. So there's room for everybody. And so I just stuck with it and slowly grew a little bit of a following and have met some awesome people. And I've toyed with ideas that kind of, floundered about making it a more robust content creation thing for the craft beer world, but it's not. A lot of small breweries, microbreweries, nano breweries, the people that would be a good target market don't have the budget to pay. And a lot of, social media is just done in-house too. So ideas I had about creating, 15 to 20 second, honestly, I thought about Reels before Reels and TikTok were a thing. Making these short little anime, movies with my voiceover, like me narrating, telling the story of the beer in these little snippets that could be shared across any platform that a brewery had. But I never really kicked it off. And then COVID happened, and then nobody was really leaving their house or doing anything. And budgets weren't there. Like, breweries did not have an easy time during COVID. So it wasn't the time to go knocking on doors, looking to expand marketing budgets. So I just stuck with, sharing my personal tastes and my beer adventures and dripping some stories in along the way. I like beer history and telling the tales of how styles came to be or whatnot.
Voice actor.
To this point,
That nails it, man. Yeah, that nails it. So the first time I heard one of Scott's videos, I thought to myself, like, that dude could sing me anything. Like, he's got the voice. He could sing me. He could sing me the Bible, like literally. And then he starts to talk about his room as he's showing up online, and now it's all coming together. Now I kind of get it. So. Yeah, man,
my little vocal booth down here. Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. Excellent. Well, that obviously probably the worst time ever to try to pitch that idea to breweries, like you said. I mean, it looks like we might be dropping internet on my end, so.
I froze a little bit there, but I think I'm back.
I can definitely appreciate that, and a cool idea. I love it. I like the content that you do on all of your social media platforms. So great idea. Definitely a pretty cool concept to take kind of an expertise right into a market that's not used to having that sort of expertise. But that's, to be very honest with you, that's kind of where a lot of craft breweries struggle. Right, is the expertise to put together what their vision is. I mean, I remember working for a craft brewery. It was, people hated being in front of a camera. It was like, man, somebody's got to do it. Like, people don't want to see Joe Blow that comes in off the street talk about our beer, right? Like, they want to see it from one of the founders, and none of them were comfortable in front of a camera, but it's just the reality of it. So, yeah,
so great. Can I share a story with you that's kind of related to that?
Yeah, man.
So I am one of those people that was always told, you have a great voice, you should do radio. Your voice should be in radio. I heard it a lot, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I see if there's anything to that. And I hadn't done it yet, and I was working for this one particular company in the marketing department. We produced trade shows, and we're down at the Javits Center in New York City, and there's a whole show floor of people, and the exhibiting sales team had sold all the vendors the opportunity to have a raffle that would be announced. People had their raffle tickets, and there was no planning ahead of time. They did this raffle, and all the vendors bought into it, and then it was time to announce winners, and they had nobody to do it. They were like, well, what do? We have to make public service. We have to make announcements. So we're like, and I'm like, this is my first job out of college, and I'm there, and like I get called over to the boss. Like, the boss needs you back, in the exhibitor room. And I'm like, what did I do? And they're like, they just literally like put a microphone in front of me, and they're like, here's we wrote it down. You're making announcements. I was like, okay, because no one else wanted to do it. Like, nobody wanted to be the person in front of the there's no cameras, but nobody. Yeah, everybody had stage fright. Like, they didn't want to like talk over the PA in the building. So,
yeah.
While not my first official paid gig, I walked out of there going, you know what? People keep telling me I have a good voice, and I was just like told to be the voice. So I'm going to pursue it. And I'm not, making Disney money or getting any big roles, but there's work out there, and have narrated some independent movies and done this and that. So it's fun. It's a creative outlet. I love doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Great story.
And I am not drinking beer tonight because I'm still on pain meds from this thing. So.
Yeah. Good luck with that. It looks like you're doing well with it, though. So I do need to give a shout out. If anybody follows our social medias, and I'm drinking an AMB Mountain Delight Brunch Stout. AMB just announced today, Appalachian Mountain Brewery announced today that they're opening up a tap room near Asheville, North Carolina. Man, that's big news. If you're an AMB fan, so I probably most people know that's where I got my start in the beer industry. Like, both of the brewers are Asheville folks. Like, that's where they were raised and their families from. So the announcement for those guys to finally get a tap room in Asheville, which literally is, I don't know that there's another city that competes with breweries square mileage wise as Asheville anymore. I know Grand Rapids and some of those areas in Michigan used to kind of compete with them, But the amount of breweries in Asheville right now. So congratulations to those guys. Happy for them. Can't wait to see them and hug their necks and celebrate with a beer for them, because I know that's been a dream for those guys for a while. So it's good to see those guys to come together and do something like that. Excited for them. And I certainly had poured it for sure and let it set to warm up a little bit before we joined on the episode. But good things coming from those guys. Anybody get out to Asheville, you can't beat the beer market down there. Lauren's been down there recently and visited a lot of great breweries down there. So
I need to go back. When I was there, Sierra Nevada was closed, and we still drove on the property, and it was gorgeous. But I want to go in. I also want to go to Chico. That's bucket list.
yeah.
But Abe, did we hear what Abe was drinking? But honestly, like, I still have Jay. I'm picturing Jay in my head being fed by Abe and serenaded by Scott.
Hey,
But did
fucking
we ever hear Abe's beer?
let's do it. I'm here for that shit.
I mean,
I'll
that's
be
not good.
honest
It
with
sounds
you.
like a lovely dinner.
Yeah, I am here for it. Is Abe still with us? I hope he's still with us.
He's there.
I'm absolutely
there.
still here.
Good.
My audio sounds good, I'm hoping. But man, the video
Yeah, your
got me
audio's
in a
fine.
bad picture.
Yeah.
It changed.
I know it was so perfect before. But did we hear what beer you're drinking? What are you sipping on?
So I'm sipping on something else because I was just like, screw it, nobody sees this pour. I was drinking Tonewood from New Jersey, a Fuego IPA with Citra Mosaic and Simcoe hops. But now I'm drinking on something that's super weird and interesting from Stillwater. Fuego is fire. I will say that Fuego is fire. But I'm drinking something different. I don't know if you guys have seen this on the market yet, but it's called Dry White Blanc Sour Ale Spritzer. It is from Stillwater, and it is a beer with Sauvignon Blanc grapes, lime, and sea salt. It's a mixture between a beer and a seltzer.
Interesting.
No, I have not seen that, but it sounds tasty.
So it's a Beltzer.
It is tasty. It's not. It's more beer than it is seltzer, but it's.
Is it like a brute IPA almost?
Well, it's got to be very wine-like too, right?
You know what? It's more wine-like than it is anything else.
Because I know some of the brute IPAs with the champagne yeast were more dry, like the champagne. I wish they would bring those back. More breweries need to try. Some of those were great.
Oh, fantastic! Other Half did one. I'm a big Other Half person. I live very close to Other Half
same.
in Brooklyn, so I like
So,
their stuff. But
Jay Wakefield did a
this is delicious.
fantastic brute.
So Abe,
Oh hell yeah!
you've bought this one. Would you buy another one?
Yes, 100%.
Man, that's it. That's kind of the telling fact for me, right? Like, everybody can give their ratings, but the real answer is like, real question, are you going to buy another one if you get a chance? Like,
Yeah, I want to pair this with fish. It's
Awesome.
super dry. It's fruity, slightly sweet. You can have this like salmon or cod or some ahi tuna. So I think this would pair very well.
yeah. I want to
See,
date
that's a
Abe.
skill set I have not even attempted. Is food and beer. Like, we need to have Abe back on and just do a food and beer pairing.
Yes.
Because, like, I was listening to a Cicerone did a cheese and beer one, last night, and I didn't pay too much attention to it, but it's like, I am just one of those, I just drink what I want to drink and I eat what I want to eat, and I never take it into consideration. But I also picture Remy from Ratatouille in my head, like mixing flavors and having his mind, head explode. Like, I want to
Fantastic
try
movie,
that.
by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When you said cheese, I'm like, when the minute you said cheese, I was like, I know what cheese I would have with this too. Immediately, like a nice
What
goat
cheese?
cheese or like a triple cream brie. Oof, triple cream brie right now with this beer would be fantastic.
I mean, triple cream
triple
brie.
creams.
I mean, is there anything that wouldn't pair good with?
An IPA. I wouldn't have that with an
Brie.
IPA.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, see,
IPA
that's
would
probably
destroy
my
that-
problem
that-
because
that-
I'm
that
usually
cheese.
drinking an IPA. I've actually made baked brie
That's
with
fair.
IPA poured on it. My kids complain when I pour too much beer on it because they say it tastes too much like beer, but they don't know.
Yeah.
It's all killed. The alcohol's killed. It's in the oven. I'm not feeding the
Yeah.
kids
It just
beer.
tastes. It just tastes like hops.
Tastes like hops. Let's speaking of
Well,
hops.
we have
Go ahead, Lauren.
I was just gonna mention hops Baron. You're good. Go ahead.
Let's go check in with Lauren and discuss a little bit of beer news before we get too far into enjoying beer and food. Lauren, what do you got on tap for beer news this week?
So we got a few little things, just real quick. So Schlafly Beer from St. Louis, Missouri, they're going to start distributing in Ohio and Michigan, and that will put them in a total of 16 different states. I know they're a big one I always see around this time of year with pumpkin beer. So if you like pumpkin beers, keep an eye out for them. Beechwood Brewing in California, they make some fantastic beer. They're going to be actually expanding into distilling with a new tap room. This new tap room is going to be in Long Beach and will have their small batch limited craft beers brewed on site, as well as lambic style brews from their blendery and their West Coast IPA favorites from their main brewery in Huntington Beach. And they will also be adding some liquor to make some craft cocktails. So that really seems to be where everybody's kind of leaning now. Like that's, I guess, going to be the next trend. I'm curious to hear what everybody else's thoughts are on these beer cocktails.
Beer cocktails. So kind of like the RTDs, but with...
I like Abe's just smiling.
Just
yeah, I guess
get
mixing beer
here.
and... I see what you're doing. I love that. Okay, so I wish everybody could see Abe right now because he was just smiling with his big old glass. It's half head, half beer.
Nice.
Yeah, Jay, even if you want to put it back on the four of us because this is fantastic. Yeah. And then if you guys want to chime in on any of my news pieces.
No, it's still there.
Oh, and he's still frozen.
Still frozen.
I feel like I should take
this. Is going to be the best bit ever.
Yeah. So beer cocktails. Let's talk about those a little bit. Beer cocktails. Is this like the flavored malt beverage trend that we're seeing, or is this something different?
I think it's literally, and I can look more into it, and I wish Matt were on here because he actually was talking to somebody and heard that the grocery stores like in Idaho were going to start focusing more on that. Like some of them are having them in a can already mixed with like beer and liquor and, any kind of mixer. And so I guess it would be more like a mocktail. I don't know, a beer mocktail. I just find it interesting because cocktails were invented during Prohibition to mask the terrible flavor of the crappy liquor they were forced to make at home. And like all the liquor and the beer now, it tastes good on its own. So I don't know why we keep trying to flavor things that are already good. But, to each their own. Everybody likes different things. And I'm all for anything a brewery can do to increase business.
Interesting.
I like the idea of doing beer cocktails because I've had a few that are pretty good. I know whatchamacallit. Interboro does canned cocktails as well as they do have a full bar as well. So it is common. This is kind of a common thing in New York City, tri-state area for breweries to be putting out a full cocktail menu as well as incorporating alcohol into some of their beers, which I'm not opposed to it. I have had a few. They're pretty good. But I also like the idea of it at like your local bar doing it as well, making a big seller, like, big box version of a beer and make it into something good because, Radlers exist. They've existed for a very long time. So if you take that same idea and add it to like a Pilsner, which I wouldn't order on its own, but you put some good alcohol in and some fruit juice and I'm for it. I'll go for it. I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's hundreds of flavored malt beverages right now.
I have just
and I do wonder if it's trying to go ahead, Scott.
I mean, to your point, cocktails have been around forever. I'm actually reading a book about cocktails and like the origin. It actually goes further back than Prohibition. Like we've been mixing things forever, but the point was the booze was horrible. So how are we going to drink this? So, but like there's some line, we just like to mix everything. And so I think now with the craft beer boom, there's like more interest in blending. And I've been doing it for a while. Like even without making a full blown michelada, I will just throw some tequila in a lager, a little salt, maybe a little hot sauce, and just, kick it up. I have taken, fun story. I only had session IPAs at my mother-in-law's house one day. and it wasn't quite enough to be around my in-laws, if anyone can relate.
Yep.
So I put gin in it.
not at all.
I was like, you know what? You know, an IPA's got, you know, the hops and the floral essence. I'm going to put some gin in here, because I went rummaging through the liquor cabinet and I threw some gin in an IPA, and it worked. You can get IPAs and gins but the flavor, it worked. A little gin, and something I've also done every fall when pumpkin beers come out is I throw some rum in a pumpkin beer. Kicks it up nicely.
Nice.
And these aren't even full-blown cocktails. It's kind of like the old-fashioned Boilermaker. Just throw beer and bourbon. You know, just it's kind of no frills about it. But they do the right liquor with the right beer, and it pairs nicely. And it's just a simple at home. No fancy Instagram videos and garnishes. And
yeah,
I follow so many cocktail people on TikTok, and I'm like, you know what? I'm never gonna have an account like that. That's too much work.
yeah. No, but
that thing for 20 minutes at least.
Yeah, I like it. You might be onto something though, Scott. Like that content with beer. Like I think is somebody doing it? You might be the first.
I did
I'm
one
sure.
TikTok beer cocktail last Christmas. There's a cocktail I really like called Good Cheer, and it's a stout or porter, something basic. Don't do a pastry stout. Maybe like a chocolate stout would work. And it's cherry hearing and amaretto over ice. Those three just stirred.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's like the one beer cocktail I made a video of me making and sharing online.
Nice. So there's a little bit of beer news that I want to chat through just real quick, and I kind of want to get some feedback from everybody, because some of this is like, are you in, you out, you going to try it, going to pick it up? First one is kind of surprising because of all the talk with can shortages not too long ago. Ball, which is probably the nationwide leader of aluminum can production,
Mason jars.
that too, has stopped production in Arizona and Minnesota plants and delaying the opening of the Nevada plant. That's huge. And there's a lot of, in the industry, there's a lot of chatter about this. Ball is one of those guys that are always like the first person to raise their prices, right? Like they're not the premium can company, right? Like these guys are always high on the price list. Boston Beer launching a sweet tea whiskey twisted tea. Are you here for it or not? Let's get a feel for the guest on the show. Lauren, you gonna try it?
I mean, if somebody had it, I would try it, but I'm not going to go buy it. However, I mean, if I need to like make a racist shut up, maybe I'll hit them with it. I feel like that's about the extent of what I would use the hard lemonade kind of stuff for. So you saw that video, right?
That's
hell
when
yeah.
They put it to the Dave Matthews song.
Yeah, that's a tough sell. Scott, you here for it? You gonna buy it? You see it? Try it? What's your
I'm in the same camp. If I was at someone's house and they had it, I would try it. I'm not gonna go buy that. But it's mostly my own experience with like hard teas. I've just never enjoyed them. Like hard teas, hard lemonades, hard seltzers. I have tried them. I've tried enough of them to know, you know what? I will try them when I'm with people that have them. I won't now go commit to a 4, 6, or 12 pack of any. Like I won't buy it because it won't be my thing. But I don't turn it. I'm at someone's house and that's what they're offering. I'm drinking it.
Yeah. Abe?
Get me to 3,000 followers and I will shotgun a whole tall boy can of this thing.
So Abe's pimping himself for followers. Let's see what else we can get him to commit to on this episode. So, man, I love it. Yeah, Twisted Tea. It's a sweet tea whiskey twisted tea by Boston Beer. That's an interesting approach. Next one. Check this one out. Monster Energy's first entry into the alcohol industry is coming before the end of the year with the Beast Unleashed in 4 flavors.
Does it come with baby Tylenol for when you have a heart attack?
I don't know.
The Beast. Are they brewing this themselves?
I'm out on this one. I don't even know if I'd try it if somebody had it.
Oh man, does it come with like cut
Like,
off
this is their own.
t-shirts and a
They've got their own
mohawk or
brewery now.
mullet?
Yeah. So this is, and that's an interesting question, right, Scott? Because compliance is
well,
huge. Go ahead.
They own Cigar City now, don't they? Isn't it the same company owns both?
Monster Energy.
Oh, that sounds right. That there was
Yeah,
like
that's
corporate
who-
parents. There's
They may.
there's a tier here that owns
Yeah.
divisions. Yeah, that sounds right.
That'll be an interesting
Down
mix.
my eye.
So
Oh my god.
the question is, Lauren, you see it on the shelf, you buying it or waiting until somebody gives you one?
Hell no. I don't even drink regular Monster Energy drink. That's something I'd be like, you can give me a sip. I wouldn't even take a full taster of that. No.
Scott?
That's like going back to Red Bull and Jaeger days. It's just terrible life choices.
So if I saw a single, if I'm at the checkout and they have that big tall boy and the cooler, like morbid curiosity would get me to buy one. I would buy one. The odds of me enjoying that and going back for more are slim, but it's the novelty of it. Like, it's because it's a new thing. I'd want to see what a soda producer made in the beer world. I would try it, but slim odds I'm going to be a repeat customer.
Awesome. Abe, you picking some up?
Get me to 10,000 followers, and I will shotgun a can of each of those flavors of Monster Energy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I will have to say, Saturday morning driving up to the tailgate, there'll be a Monster Energy in my console. And if there's a 4-pack of these Monster Energy Beast Unleashed, they're going to be in the cooler, right? Like, what better novelty at a tailgate than some Monster Energy Beast Unleashed? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I'm trying to scroll up in my list of
Four
shit.
Loko all over again. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, even the hard Mountain Dew was not. It wasn't
Yeah.
great.
And wasn't it Boston Beer that made the Hard Mountain Dew? Like, that's what I was asking about, if it was a collab for Monster or if they were really making it. But I didn't try the Hard Mountain Dew either.
That certainly could be. And I had
I
some.
did. It was bad.
Yeah, they own all sorts of brands now. Like they do Truly.
Yeah,
And
they're
some
Truly.
other ones.
And they're Twisted Tea.
All right.
Okay,
I'm curious
so-
to what this next ridiculous concoction is going to be.
Yeah, it's not a ridiculous concoction, but this is an interesting story that's got some Monster Energy twist to it. Constellation is preparing for a shareholder vote on a $1.5 billion stock reclassification deal with Monster Energy ties. Constellation.
Huh.
$1.5 billion.
So is this coded acquisition talk? Like they're restructuring? Like,
so
so Monster's getting stocks, like, or
well, I think they've got some. So from my understanding, the original owners of Constellation have a pretty high percentage share of stock in the company right now. What I believe is they're trying to buy out the rest of that original ownership shares so they can go after Monster Energy, is what I believe the conversation is. Because Constellation, I mean, those guys, that's like they're an OG alcohol brand that became who they are because the owners made right choices, right? Like they knew the alcohol brands to go after and have made billions and getting ready to make another $1.5 billion if the stockholders agree to this. In an effort, I believe, within the internal workings of Constellation is so they can go after Monster Energy. That's what I believe it's coming down to. But it's an interesting play with all of it because Constellation is continuing to make billion-dollar deals in an industry that just, as of late, has been slaughtered, right? Like, it's not cool to be that big beer company anymore because 1% to 3% loss quarter after quarter hurts. So it's pretty interesting to see moves like this made. But those energy drink companies are not companies that are falling off, right? Like if there's anybody that's gaining share in their markets, Like those fucking energy drink companies are billionaires, right? Like you're talking all these other alcohol industry, and that's probably part of Monster Energy's push. If I'm just being honest with you, they're like, well, hell, the energy drink market right now, let's go after another one to see what happens there. So interesting moves on Constellation's part for sure.
I should mention my new page, Energy Drink Narrator.
Right? Like, I mean, look at the news. That's what's in the news right now. Bang, obviously, we didn't talk about Bang, and we won't talk about them too much, but I mean, they've recently been dealt the death blow in a court lawsuit. So Monster Energy is really in a position to kind of make strides in that energy drink market. But yeah, big moves by Constellation.
Gamers are gonna buy it just to be like, yo, we want to get drunk on Monster. It's gonna happen.
Oil is like going to be targeting high school kids too. Like a lot of these new things that come out that are gone very quick. I'm like, oh, we would have bought that in high school. And I feel like with the hard lemonade, I'm still traumatized from Mike's hard lemonade from high school. Like somebody tried to ice me one time. I was like, oh no, that's no. And they're like, but you have to. I'm like, no.
Oh no.
So if you're drinking Mike's hard lemonade in high school, like you're going to drink
once.
Oh. I was going to say, you're going to drink a Monster Beast Unleashed for sure.
Well, and that's the point.
In high school, sure. Yeah, the one time I drank Mike's Hard Lemonade, I puked at work the next day.
Listen, it's
you want a customer for life. So you have a portfolio that has them in there.
You get cool as a kid. You got to man up and drink a Colt 45 or a Budweiser 40 or whatever 40 is available, because that's what's hip where I'm from.
I drank Mickey's.
Yes.
We don't have 40s in Florida. They're illegal.
What?
Really?
Man, it's kind of funny you say that, because I've got a buddy that we kind of, in our chats, we're always trying to one-up each other. And I'll send him like a PBR tall boy, like in the hand, walking out of the gas station. And he picked up an OE 800 at a gas station not too long ago. and I told him, and I sent him a message, and I told him I might have to tap out on that one. He sent me a message back about 10 minutes later. He said, man, I had to pour it out. I almost threw up. So,
Somebody tried to get me to play
That's
Edward 40
had
hands during lockdown.
Edward 40 hands.
Yeah.
I'm curious to try that again. Next time I see it, I should pick that up, because I have not had it since high school. And I remember thinking, oh, this isn't so bad. Like, I had very low expectations, even when Bud Light was my go-to beer. And I thought it was
Key thing
not
is
bad.
to make
I'm
a
sure
brass
I
monkey.
can't even drink a Budweiser now, but
yeah,
that funky monkey.
Yeah. You know it.
I got some other news. So Surly's Darkness Day Festival in Minnesota is coming back this October because a Minnesota law changed. Previously, the state prohibited large brewers from selling beer to go in growlers, crowlers, and 750 milliliter bottles, despite the fact that the beer they were selling was in that bottle, could be sold at liquor stores. They weren't allowed to sell it directly. So their Darkness Day beer, they basically stopped selling it and having the festival for a little bit, and then COVID, they were trying to take a stand, and then COVID happened, and couldn't really take a stand because COVID happened. But they got the law changed. Small breweries are now allowed to sell cans, and the big breweries are allowed to sell growlers, crowlers, and 750 milliliter bottles, and they are having their festival this October. So unlike New Jersey, who does not give a crap about small breweries, I love that we're seeing a lot of these laws in different states be changed, a lot of times by those local brewers guilds. So that's awesome.
Damn, just
poor Jersey. I feel so bad for them.
Hey, what do you know about
Did you see what they did?
What do I know about
though?
New Jersey? What do I know about my friends texting me? I was like, yo, you won't believe this. You won't believe what happened now in our state of New Jersey to breweries. There's so much garbage going on, and we have made strides into making things better. But what happens is the restaurant association starts coming after breweries because they feel like they're gonna take their money. They feel like they're losing out on cash of alcohol because breweries exist. First, it was about having snacks at the brewery, then having food trucks outside of the brewery. Then it was having live music at the brewery. All these things are being stripped away. At one point, things got better, and now they're getting back to things
So
getting.
adapt.
Well, here's the problem. And just from my outside understanding, restaurants, if I'm not mistaken, for a restaurant to serve alcohol in New Jersey costs them $1 million.
Liquor licenses can be upwards to
Jeez.
$500,000 to $1 million. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's just not restaurants.
So then they need to
That's
change
also
the
liquor
bylaw.
stores.
Yes.
At most grocery stores in other states, you can sell beer. In New Jersey, you have to have a liquor license.
Yes. So
Can they sell beer and wine at the grocery stores?
No.
So the no alcohol at all at the not the Publix, whatever, the Piggly Wiggly or whatever it is.
Yeah, at the big box supermarkets,
Jeez.
you cannot sell any alcohol.
So
It's like Utah.
I get the pain that the brewers are facing, right? But they're going about it the wrong way, in my opinion. Like, the problem is that they're charging restaurants the price that they're charging restaurants. That's the problem. Because what the restaurants are saying is, well, if we got to pay $500,000 to $1 million to serve alcohol, so should breweries, right? Which, if you're the restaurant that has a brewery that opens on the same block that spends $1,000 or whatever it is a year for their license, they've got kind of a valid point. But I just, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's kind of the same thing that New York City's dealt with the taxis, right? Like, it's so cost prohibitive to do it. And whenever you make that opportunity for breweries to open up and do it at a much less rate, man, the breweries need to go after what the fee is that they're charging restaurants to begin with.
Well, can I ask, because I'm kind of familiar with how it works in Massachusetts, is that $1 million price tag, is it the actual state price tag, or is that just the cost of doing it? So the way it works in Massachusetts, there's this many liquor licenses. Like, this, it has to go to the town or the county to decide if they're going to increase it. And the license is attached to the building. So if I'm a liquor store right here, and I close up, and I'm retired, I'm out of business, and someone across the street who has twice the square footage says, I'll buy your license and put it in this new big space, that's a no-go. The license is attached here. And if I default on loans, if I, order $1 million worth of booze from a distributor and I go bankrupt, the person that buys the license has to clear the debt on the license. So in Massachusetts, it's really expensive because there aren't that many to go around. So when one comes up for sale, it's just a bidding war. It's capitalism. It's I'll pay this much for it. And then if anybody, defaulted, didn't pay their taxes, did something screwy, or had a bad plan, you have to clear the debt on it. No one will distribute alcohol to you until you pay the distributor that got screwed by the previous owner. So there's often $1 million price tag to get, a alcohol selling entity going in Massachusetts. But it's not because the state says give us $1 million. It's just the cost of getting it done because it's free market. And I'm curious if Jersey's working that way, or is it like the Sopranos and you really got to pay someone $1 million?
No, Scott, it's very similar. I don't know anything about whether or not it's attached to the building.
You made him an offer,
but it's definitely attached to I don't know if it's attached to the building. I know for sure if you have ownership over it, you are selling it to somebody else directly. There are a certain amount of liquor licenses.
It is possible to move it here, but
yeah. I mean, it's every county has their certain amount of liquor licenses, and at some point they do give an opportunity for more liquor licenses to be available to people. The prices are way different once they start upping the amount of licenses allowed in the county. I mean, there's no way. I think there may be there might be a quarter of a mil at that point when you're getting it from the state. But if you're getting it from the individual, they can get up to $100. And then as far as restaurants being upset that breweries are up nearby them, that's the thing that really is not that common in New Jersey. Like, breweries that are located in New Jersey are located in warehouse areas, so they're so far away from restaurants that to affect whether or not they're going to have people going to them, every single time I ever go to a brewery in New Jersey, we are looking for the place we're going to go eat and continue drinking for the night. So restaurants having that problem just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting dilemma.
I mean, yeah. When we looked at the restrictions, I'm like, there's a local brewery here that would check off all these boxes in a month, and they couldn't do any more events or anything.
Most breweries nowadays, right? Like if you're gonna be, if you're gonna remain relevant in your local area, you've got to be doing everything that they're gonna prevent you from doing in New Jersey, for sure.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful that you can't do any of the things you can do in other states, and it's hurt plenty of breweries. People have gone out of business. Other people have gone around it. There's people fighting for it. To name one of the breweries that people I know, Bolero Snort is one of the breweries that are fighting back, and those guys worked their asses off. They went from being home brewers to contract brewing to finally getting their own space, and they're now dealing with what everybody else has been dealing with through over the years. So there's been small push forward, but it just seems like it's never enough.
That's the name of the game.
Brewing, common in Jersey? Is that like a way to kind of get around some of it?
Contract brewing is one of those common things for up and comers, but it is not a way to get around, too much.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like, okay, I'm going to avoid paying this. I'm just going to pay this brewery that's already established to brew my beer. I know contract brewing in general, we're seeing, and actually I'm about to segue into that with some Mickler news in a minute.
Okay.
But I was wondering if in Jersey, if some of these, breweries can kind of skirt this requirement of this liquor license or requirement of like, let me just not pay my brick and mortar and just, pay to brew if I have to, deal with these ridiculous things and I can't do events anyways.
No, I think
I don't
I guess time will tell.
know.
I think it's tied to the actual
I know
sale
people.
of the alcohol to the consumer, not so much of the manufacturing.
So it's not the actual location.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be the location, right? But where all of these liquor licenses come into play is the actual selling of the liquor or alcohol to the consumer. It's not so much of the manufacturing. Hey, there he is. Ava's back. Ava's back for sure. Aben, it looks like your signal improved somehow.
Like, why does he look so surprised?
Yeah, I can see your guys' internet signal, and yours has improved a little bit since recently. So somebody's stopped streaming in your neighborhood to give you a little bit of a boost. So for a minute anyways, now you're back down to the red. So...
Yeah, I'm in a densely populated area. It's just what happens.
Yeah, when everybody gets home from work, for sure. Yeah, so segue into the contract brewing there, Lauren.
I still have quite a bit of news that we can dive into next week. But this one, obviously, we've kind of been following this. So Mickler, I mean, when I first heard of what a nomadic brewery was, like it was Mickler. They were a nomadic brewery. They didn't really, have a spot. They were just traveling the world and brewing beer. Well, they've announced they are ceasing operations at their brewery and taste room in San Diego, California, and they are returning to contract brewing for the United States. AleSmith in San Diego is going to start brewing on their behalf as they go forward. And, they mentioned it's been a long part of their success is doing the contract brewing. And they started doing that in 2006. And at the time, actually, they said still over 90% of their beer sold globally is through contract brewing. So it was interesting. The article I read only mentioned that the COVID pandemic affected them, and it did not mention the rat magnet or any of that at all in the article, because I definitely think that impacted them tremendously. Especially with people boycotting going to the Copenhagen Festival last year and everything. Yeah. But that is how they are proceeding, and they're blaming it on COVID.
And there's people like me that never really liked their beer.
That's the last bit of news I'll do. Tap.
Quote that. Lauren hasn't bought their beer since the shit went down. Yeah. But that's an interesting twist, and I will tell you, hey, keep your ear to the ground. There's going to be still a lot of shakeup before the year end. Beer companies are crushed, guys. I've said this for a while. If you have a local craft brewery that you really enjoy, you better fucking spend as much time as you can in their tap room. Because if they tell you there's not an issue, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
Go spend some time in that tap room, because I will tell you that a very large percentage of breweries that we all love and enjoy. I mean, we're seeing it. Milwaukee had some shakeup. One of their biggest breweries in Milwaukee sold, getting ready to turn it over. So you go spend some time at those tap rooms, folks, because they're struggling. And if they're telling you otherwise, they're lying to you. Go spend some money there and support that local beer, especially if you enjoy it. Hey, to wrap things up, let's go check in with Abe. I think his video is working. Let's go check in with Abe. Abe, parting shots. There he is. That's a nice pour, Abe. I wish I could get that to freeze.
Beer through the entire show. Just waiting to.
There you go. The parting shots, Abe. Where can people find you? And one thing that you learned during the episode.
Okay, so you can find me at Abe in the Kitchen on all social media. That's on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. And one thing I learned on this episode was that Cigar City sold out, which I didn't know before today, which I'm now heartbroken about. Also that whatchamacallit, McKellar is doing way worse than I suspected, and perhaps they deserve it, perhaps they don't, but only time will tell.
Man, Cigar City. That's been a while, Abe. I feel like you need a hug.
I haven't bought their stuff, and now I feel like it's my fault. I wasn't supporting, and they sold.
That's it. Abe, good to have you, man. I look forward to eating some of your groceries one day soon.
Yeah, please do.
All right, let's go check in with Scott, the beer narrator. Scott, where can people find you? Parting shots, and what's something you learned on the episode?
I'm beer narrator on TikTok and Instagram. What did I learn? I learned that Monster Energy was making beer. Is it a beer? But they're making.
We don't
alcohol.
know. Yeah,
I learned that today.
I'm gonna look more into that.
And I what else? Oh.
Parting shots.
Parting shots. Abe will drink what we want him to if we get him followers.
Yeah. that is a great one. Yeah, like we can get Abe to drink pretty much anything.
That would drink the hunch punch.
Yeah. Let's everybody go follow Abe and tell him you were sent there by Hops News, and let's see what we can get him to drink by Friday.
Get him some followers. We're gonna have to send him some care packages.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll do it. Like, hold me to it. I'll do it
for sure. Well, Scott, certainly appreciate you joining us tonight, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah, hope we can have you back again soon. Let's go check in with Lauren. Lauren, parting shots. Where can people find you? And don't forget to fill us in on Geeks. And what did you learn?
So somebody asked on YouTube, Rat Magnet ? That was an Instagram account that she kind of used her platform to have people call out breweries that were doing shady shit in regards to racism stuff and misogynistic stuff. And Mickler was one of them. So that's why I said Rat Magnet. What did I learn? I learned that cocktails were not invented during Prohibition. They were invented beforehand. So I actually look forward to you finishing that book, and I'd love to hear more about the origination of that, because I honestly thought it had always come from the shit alcohol people were attempting to make on their own. And parting shots. I mentioned Geeks before a little bit, but I did I went on the Ale line again about a week and a half ago. They were a guest we had on a while ago. They're the Orlando Hop On, Hop Off beer bus. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I finally put together a video. There's pictures from all 9 of the breweries they stop at and a tap house that they stop at. And I give little details on if they have food, if they don't have food, a little bit of what kind of beer they have. It's like a quick 2.5-minute video. You can find that on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/hopsnews. Fantastic couple that runs it. They've even made some of our stickers. And like I said, we've had them on the podcast before. If ever in Orlando and you have one day to do breweries, jump on the ale line. It's one Uber there and one Uber back to your hotel, and you can hop on and hop off wherever you like. You find a brewery you like, you want to stay there the whole day, stay there the whole day. You want to hit up as many as you can, just get on and off as quick as you can. Awesome place. Or not place. Awesome places. Awesome bus. Yeah, we just dropped the Disney episode. Unfortunately, I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan, but we will have a Lord of the Rings episode coming out Sunday night. We had a guest, so Matt had somebody to bond with. I did give some fun facts. They reminisced a bit and occasionally act shocked that I did not like the first Lord of the Rings movie, so I never watched 2 or 3 or The Hobbit. But they love it. So I think it was a good episode. We're getting ready, obviously, for the next show to come out. And, the geek content we've had in the last year and a half, starting with like WandaVision, has just been fire. Everything's been amazing. So we've had so much content to deal with, so many amazing fun facts. Matt did build his lightsaber at the Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. So I built mine at Disney World about a month ago. So we're going to compare and contrast the experiences. I know everybody's really excited for that. My husband's like, oh, did Matt get a $200 lightsaber too? Yes, he did. And we're going to talk about it. And Geeks is going great. We are going to be in Salt Lake City the weekend of September 23rd, if anyone's around. And obviously, we'll be going to breweries after we go to the FanX Salt Lake Con. So that'll be a lot of fun. And that's what's going on with Geeks. And you can find us everywhere at Hops Geek News. And you can find me at The Hoppy Mommy. Cheers. My beer's gone.
Awesome. Great content from the Geeks. A $200 lightsaber. Man.
It's $220, and they did not accept pass holder discount.
Can we do a quick shout out for Rat Magnet? Actually, just people know she's opening. So Brienne Allen.
Let's go back to Scott. Scott, give him a shout out.
So that all went down when she was the head brewer for Notch Brewing, which is a local brewery to me, and I love Notch. They're probably my favorite brewery. But she has since left and is opening her own place called Sacred and Profane in the Portland, Maine area. And it's opening like imminently. Very soon, she's going to have her own brewery. So just a shout out to support her. I think it's in Guilford.
I definitely want to go.
It's not exactly in Portland. It's but it's opening anytime now. Like Sacred and Profane is her social media for that.
I didn't even know
place.
that. That's awesome.
But she might be plugging it on her own personal page. But yeah,
nice.
Coming soon. She's got her own
talking
brewery
about
now,
it quite a bit.
Cheers to her.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, appreciate everybody tuning in and listening on the podcast platforms or live tonight. Appreciate the guests, Scott and Abe. Always good to chat with you fellas for sure. And as always, Lauren bringing in the solid beer news and the Geeks content, what those guys are doing. Check us out. Hopefully we'll be back next week. That's the plan anyways. At some point, maybe it's a Hops News episode. Maybe it's another content creator episode. But we'll be back at some point. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And, man, as always, go Apps.
Cheers.
It's all about the you.
Cheers.
Hey, watch that. Ready for some college football. Actually, I might be back on next Saturday as well. If I'm not too tore up before it's time to go live. Hey fellas, appreciate you guys joining us tonight, man.
Oh, thanks again. I appreciate it.
I appreciate being here.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time I'll be able to have a beer.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta bring a beer next time. Yeah.
Over the next time, I'm not frozen.
All right.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Well, now Lauren's in the yellow, and so I get what your internet connection status is like. Like Scott, as everybody can probably guess, has been green the entire night. Lauren pops in and out of red and yellow, and then poor Abe there is stuck in the red. So
I'm in the concrete
I have like
jungle.
2% battery left. I'm not plugged in. I'm gonna. I might just
Not where
disappear
dreams are
suddenly.
made of.
yeah.
No, it's not. It's where internet dies.
All right, guys. Good
I didn't
chatting
know
with
you
you.
could see that. That's funny. But I have like 5 million people in this house on Wi-Fi.
Yes, that's part of the problem. Yep. And it's the upload speed. It's not necessarily your download speeds. It's your upload speeds.
Oh, wait, before I go, Tonewood. There you go. Wiggle.
All right.
Nice. Oh, it is fire. Fuego. Mine's just a high Chippendale character.
Hell yeah.